Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live, Laugh, Larry. It's the show where we can all get dad advice from my dad, Larry. All right, Dad, how are you today?
I'm good, I think. Yeah, it's day 2.
Day 2, episode 2, for anyone who's new around here.
Yeah.
A couple things that we've learned and we're improving now is, for those of you watching on YouTube, we no longer have the mics in front of our face, so we're growing. Wouldn't you say so, Dad?
That's much better. I can see clearly now.
Uh-huh. The theme of the show is you provide dad advice to people who call in and provide their questions. But to get us started, as always, I have a bit of a speed round. Are you ready, Faja?
I guess as ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's get a little bit more pep in this time.
Okay, yeah. I'm ready.
All right. Dear Larry, my coworker keeps stealing my favorite pen from my desk. What do I do?
Most people chew the ends of their pen. So Tabasco sauce. Soak it overnight in Tabasco sauce. That's one idea. It springs to mind.
Amazing. All right. Dear Larry, my significant other still has a collection of stuffed animals on their bed. What do I do?
Your friend has stuffed animals on their bed?
No, my significant other has a collection of stuffed animals on their bed. What do I do?
Well, I'd check to see if maybe they're a bedwetter. And it could be camouflage. They could be actually soaking it up.
So it's a deeper issue here.
It's a deeper issue.
We're
maybe
conducting a root cause analysis.
It may be a medical condition. Yeah,
All right.
I don't know. The last time I saw that many stuffies, right away I'm thinking medical condition.
Canceled. Larry, canceled.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Good answer. Dear Larry, my boyfriend doesn't eat vegetables. What do I do?
Feed him meat. Lots of meat. Well, no, you should encourage him to eat vegetables. And one way to eat vegetables is really, really sweet and fattening, like dressings. Dressing so good you can eat with a spoon, and then you can hide the vegetables.
Oh my God.
It's just a thought.
I don't know why I found that funny, but you could see in your brain it was really worrying with, ooh, what am I going to say here?
Yeah.
All right, so that's great. I'm just going to open my drink now. Give me 1 second.
I think I might have told you, your great uncle, my uncle, he always used to say before he went out drinking to a party, he would eat a lot of, that's when he ate vegetables and salad, was so when he threw up it would be in Technicolor. And he said that with a straight face. I don't think he really did that.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't.
I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm sure nobody in our family has ever drank anything ever.
No.
Yep, fair. So, contrary or different from the last video or last episode, I've added another little piece, and that's to share a funny story. I gave myself time to think of one. I won't make you think of one unless one comes to mind, but my funny story that happened to me recently was, I now realize how awkward it is to start this sentence as I'm talking to my dad, but I was laying in bed with my boyfriend.
Okay.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway, I turned really quickly and I elbowed him so hard in the nose and his eyes watered and you could be cracked a little bit and you could hear cartilage moving back and forth. And we were both really concerned that I actually broke his nose.
Yeah. Well, that's and he was still there in the morning?
He was still there in the morning.
Oh, he must be a good boyfriend then.
Yeah, we'll keep him.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought I'd get a little bit more of a laugh out of that from you.
Well, you broke his nose. I don't know that I've had that before.
A broken nose.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tell us, what was that like?
Couple of times. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of tears and blood and snot, and it's messy and it's painful.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it brings back bad memories.
Oh, geez. All right.
Yeah,
well, before we get too deep
wasn't
into
good.
those.
I don't want to get deep.
All right. Before anyone starts crying here, I think it's time that we get to our first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The first question is from Estrella, and I will play it for you right now.
Hi, my name is Estrella. I'm from Mexico, and I'm a huge fan. I've been struggling with making new friends. I mean, Don't get me wrong, I love my friends, but I also feel like in the mood to make new friends. But here's the situation, because it's like really difficult to me to talk to new people. And every time that I had the opportunity, it's like I just don't let people into my life. And that's so weird because I really want to make new friends, but I act like if I don't want to, you know? It's weird, but that's pretty much all, and I would love to have an advice or something. Well, thank you and bye bye.
So another one of like the nicest people in the world, just
Wow.
like sending in questions. So I think to start, I just want to like say first, thank you, Estrella, for sending a question in. And before we even get into it, I totally relate to the concept of wanting more friends, but not trying to insult your current friends that you have. I think it's a really like touchy subject sometimes to bring up with current friends. And I know I've found that I've sometimes put my foot in my mouth by opening up the conversation with friends saying, I feel lonely or I wish I had more friends. And that very quickly can lead to, someone feeling like maybe they're not good enough. And that's not a fun experience. So I guess I just want to start off the bat by saying I can totally see where you're coming from. And I'm excited to open up the conversation with that, I guess. But Dad, I don't know. What do you think right off the bat?
Oh, well, that's a really interesting question. And I guess as an old guy with old friends, and I'm very fortunate to say I have some very good old friends. They all started as new friends. So in order to have a plethora of old friends.
Would you say you have many friends?
Many friends. No, I would like to think I do. But I think that you have to start. They all started as new friends, whether we were kids together or we played hockey down the road or we worked together or taught together. And, those friendships started. And if you're shy, believe it or not, I'm a little bit sometimes stand-backish. Nobody usually believes that, but you have to sometimes step out of your comfort zone and open up to new people. And sometimes you'll find something in common enough worth going back and for a second conversation. Sometimes maybe you won't, but you have to bite the bullet sometimes, I think, and make the first move and have a conversation and find out what you have in common and go from there.
The thing that comes up to my mind, and you might remember this, maybe not, but in my first year of university, I really struggled to make friends. It was kind of I knew everybody in my small town, so I just assumed making friends would be really easy once I went to school. And I got to university and I knew nobody, and I was miserable and super sad. And that whole first semester was a very dark time. And I remember you and I going for dinner. You took me out to a Vietnamese restaurant. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I remember that.
Yeah. And we sat down at it was a big table for two, and we were at a big table. And I remember kind of trying to keep a straight face. It was one of the first times I saw you since being at university, and you were so positive and so excited to hear about my experience. And I don't think up until this point I'd really let on how sad I was. And you'd kind of asked about friends, and I had to really embarrassingly say, I don't know anybody. I haven't met a single person at university. I've tried and I just feel uncomfortable, or I feel like people don't like me. And just at that moment, as I was saying this, a group of like 10, 15 kids, maybe it was only like 7 or 5, but like a group of very...
It was a big group, I remember.
It was a big group, a really happy group of university students came down and sat at the table behind us. And I just remember you kind of turning, seeing it, and at the same time, I don't know what you were thinking, but in my mind, at the same time, you and I both thought, oh no, like that's what she wants and she's not getting, and that's where she feels empty. And I remember I just started to cry in public at a Vietnamese restaurant, and it was like, I wasn't sobbing, but it was the type of, the tears well up in your eyes and then one tear comes out, and I just remember you felt so bad for me.
Yeah, I'd like to think I said something that I know probably didn't make any difference, but I do remember that. And, as a parent, and this starts when kids are the first time, they don't get picked for a team, or they're, somebody makes fun of their shoes at kindergarten. In kindergarten, it hurts, and I think it hurts the parent as much as the child. And I do remember that night, and I think at some point, maybe it was even that night, there are a couple of things I remember telling you. One was, I won't be disappointed if you traded an A or two for some Bs and went and had a beer or two with, or whatever it was, a Diet Coke, instead of being in your room going for those A's. And then I think there was one other sage thing I must have said, but I can't. It doesn't come to me right now, because I was worried that it was all about the school, to the point where I believe I even mentioned at around that time, if you wanted to take your educational funds and go to Europe, and then go for it, because I didn't want to see, in a place, because not only it wasn't just a friend issue,
I had a couple issues.
Well, you were questioning whether that was what you wanted,
yeah.
the route you wanted to take. And so I thought, combined with being so sad, maybe it was time to pull the pin. But to your credit, you didn't, and you stuck with it, and the next year was quite a bit better, and you never looked back. So that's a two-sided coin there. Do you bite the bullet and suck it up like you did, or do you just start over again in a different tack? And either one is right depending on the circumstance.
Well, I think to relate back to Estrella's question of how to make I want to make friends, but outwardly it doesn't appear like I do. I know that that's the vibe I was giving off. I was getting my lunch and then going back to my room, or going to the dining hall with all the kids and sitting by myself, feeling too embarrassed for too long. And then, it's like you won't get this reference, but there's a movie called Mean Girls, and she eats her food in the bathroom. And that's kind of what I did. And so what, I guess, to again relate it back to the question at hand and maybe give a specific example of what I did, was I remember going home for Christmas break and talking to you and Mom and my friends at home, and just saying, I don't want to go back. I don't think I want to do my second semester of university. I'll do literally anything else, but I don't want to do that. And through conversations with you guys, who are all very supportive, and my friends included, I had established that I had a New Year's resolution, and that was to make one friend at university. And what I did was I got to university, and I guess I'll go for the full long story here, actually. Buckle up. But with my resolution in mind, I went to my first class, and I saw that there was a girl sitting at a row of desks, and I was like, oh, she could be a friend. I'm going to do it. And so I went up and I sat next to her, and she wasn't being rude, but she kind of just was like, didn't even say hi, and I was feeling all excited to make a friend. And then all of her friends showed up and sat next to her on the other side, and they ignored me like the entire time. And so I was really deflated from that. The second one was I sat down in a class, and a guy looked at me and he made eye contact, and I was like, okay, maybe this could be a friend. He got up from his chair and came over and sat next to me, and he kind of ended up being a stalker. It's funny to laugh at now, but at the time it was really sketch and creepy, and maybe don't give your number out to anyone. So that was a different situation. Anyway, the third thing I did was I went to a workout class, because I was like, you know what? I work out all the time. I like fitness. Maybe that's how I can meet my friends. Maybe I'm just trying in the wrong spaces. And I went to a workout class, and I didn't meet anyone, and I was bummed. I went to a workout class the very next day, didn't meet anyone, and I was super sad. And I remember talking to a friend from home and saying, I'm done. I've tried. I have, these girls turned me down, kinda. I have a stalker, and my legs hurt because I'm working out and going all these workout classes, and I'm just tired. And my friend said, you know what? Go to one more workout class. And so I did. And there was a wonderful person named Megan, who both of us reached for the same weights at the same time. And she was giggling and whatever. And I said, you know what? I'm so sorry, but I'm so uncomfortable. Like, I don't even know how to socialize anymore. I'm sorry for whatever impersonation I'm giving off. I'm just so awkward. And she was like, oh my God, me too. University is so weird, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, honestly. And I just let it out. I didn't trauma dump on her, but I just shared my story. And I was like, I'm having a really hard time making friends and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the like 2 minutes it took for us to get our mats and our weights back to our spot. And by the end of the class, she was like, hey, you know what? Our friends are doing a Taco Tuesday. You should totally come over. And I think had I been in a more negative headspace, I wouldn't have gone over. But I knew that, this was in line with my resolution. So I went, and those were my group of friends for the next, throughout university.
Mm-hmm.
That was a long story, but
No, and you never did find out that I was sending all of the money.
How long were you sitting on that one, Dad?
It just popped.
Yeah, so they were all paid for by my parents, actually. Sponsored by
friends.
Larry Espy.
Yeah. No, it's an issue that I would just maybe because I was on the teams or because of the small town I was in, that was just the sequence of events for me. I never went through what you did, and it has nothing to do with personality. I think it was just circumstance. And back to Estrella's question, I don't take this lightly. If you're struggling to make new friends, I think McCary's given some good advice. You have to put yourself out there, and there are going to be times where it doesn't happen the way you want it. But then in those cases, sometimes that's not maybe the friend you wanted anyway.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind as well. But I guess the best advice, and it's the old guy advice, is to have friends, you have to be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go.
I think we answered that question succinctly.
Oh, and I don't know how succinct it was.
Okay, because I talked a long time.
Oh, no.
No, yeah, finally the one time I'm the one
wasn't
doing the talking.
I didn't fall asleep.
You brick. Okay, we're moving on.
You didn't talk too long.
Thank you, Estrella, for sending in the question. I appreciate
all the best,
you.
Estrella.
Yeah. All the best. Okay.
All the best.
The next question is from Wani.
Hi, Larry. This is Wani calling in from the Netherlands. And my question to you is, how do you make sure that the career you love doesn't turn into something that is stressful for you? So the context is I love my job and I get a lot of meaning out of it, but I find myself putting in more and more hours and stretching myself thinner and thinner, and wondering if I'm putting too much of my self-worth in my job and how well I do it. The environment can be quite competitive and harsh. So I want to know what your thoughts are and what you think I can do to commit to my career, but not overcommit and not inflate myself with how I'm doing in my job. And you're always welcome in the Netherlands. Bye.
Well, thank you. And then I love the Netherlands, so I hope to get back over there. I think it's a challenge. It's like positive stress. It's nice to have a job that stresses you, or it's like playing a game. Competition is, a good game is one that's close, not one you're winning or losing by a whole bunch of points or goals. You want a job with enough stress and competition to keep you interested. Again, the analogy of being too far ahead in a baseball game or a hockey game or something like that, where all of a sudden it's not fun anymore. And it's the same thing, I think, with work. And yet at the same time, you can't spend your whole life playing in overtime with the stress of sudden death looming over you. You just couldn't physically do that. And so at what point do you set the clock, whether it's virtual or real, to say, I need to take a break from this for a time?
I know for starting, well, I won't talk about my whole career journey because I feel like I did the whole I'm going to work way too much. And then I did, and then I burnt out. And then I stopped working too much because I thought, well, whatever, if I get hit by a bus, then the employer won't care about me anyway. So then I never quiet quit, but the idea of it popped in my mind. But, you go through these extremes of working way too hard to not working hard enough and all that kind of thing. I won't go into that is what I mean to say. But I will talk about just starting YouTube. The hours that I put in at the very beginning were a lot. They were plentiful. I worked all day, every day, and I didn't make any time for working out, eating healthy, spending time with people that I loved. And I kind of let myself do that because I thought, oh, well, I love this. I'm letting the creativity flow through me. I can't stop this now or whatever. And I think sometimes it's kind of truthful because when it feels good, you kind of want to ride the wave. But then ultimately you can lead yourself to the point of it's no longer feels good. It's not fun. And I'm essentially saying the exact same thing as your sports analogy of like being in overtime all the time. What I've found helps to go all the way back to Wani's question of, how to make sure the career you love doesn't become something that really stresses you out. I have started to set boundaries for myself. One of them is actually going to an office. So if maybe Wani, if you work from home, considering going back into an office might be helpful, to really set those physical boundaries of work versus home life. So that's been helpful. But another thing is bringing my journal around with me pretty much everywhere. So if I have an idea, and even when I worked in tech, I would have fun ideas of, like this could go in a presentation, or this could be a way that we could approach this problem. And it doesn't always have to be like ideas for YouTube videos and ideas for writing. It's ideas for any job that you're passionate about. But having my journal on me at all times so that when I came up with an idea, I could write it down, get it out of my brain so it doesn't consume my thoughts anymore. And then, carving out a couple minutes every morning when I start my work day to go through those ideas again and flush it out there instead of, if I got the idea when I was sitting having lunch with my partner, I don't want to take away from his time and make it all about me and my ideas and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think in summation, my things that have helped for me are making boundaries between work and life, like the actual division of work in the location, and journaling, getting ideas out of my head and onto paper, and then assessing them at a later time.
Mm-hmm. I guess just to reiterate, I think the upside is when you have a job that you are so passionate about that you want to be there, albeit maybe too much. I think there's an upside over having a job where it's the last thing you want to do every morning. And so that being said, it's about finding strategies to make sure you, whether it's hanging out with friends who are not work related more often, or going away on quick overnight trips, or having a walk every day that you leave your phone behind, something like that, just to make sure that you leave that space for anything else, because it can be. And truthfully, life goes on, and you're going to be replaced. We're all going to be replaced at some point. It's just the way it is. But I think you're fortunate to have a job that you're obviously good at and love.
Yeah. It's like, it's of the problems to have, it's such a good, I don't mean to say this to diminish it, but it's like you said, it's better to have that problem than I hate my job. How do I,
or I'm not making a difference,
joy?
or all I'm here for is the money.
And I think too, the being replaced, that mindset, it's a very good mindset to have of, I am going to be replaced, so maybe I shouldn't put my whole life into this. I should still love my family and eat healthy and work out. But I think, we say it kind of jokingly because we have had really in-depth conversations about the whole concept of work-life balance and being replaced. But I do want to point out that if the only mindset is, well, I'm not, what's the point, I'm going to be replaced, that's such a sad way to work. It's just like, well, none of this matters. And it's like, well, if you don't have that passion in the role, at least you can try to be a kind person at work, so that, again, like, no one wants to be Scrooge. Like, if we're thinking of Christmas Carol, you want people to show up to your funeral. So even though theoretically in the whole organization and the machine you can be replaced, you want people to be at your funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, no, at the risk of sounding like I'm the company man, I think that, you mentioned there are people who I'm going to be replaced anyway. I don't really care. I'm just going to go through the motions. I would have to say if your site is that bad, then get out, or do something within your power to change that. Because if you feel like that, maybe other people feel the same way. And if you have the capacity, help to make it a better place that people enjoy, contributing to. Unless your job is making munitions or illegal chemicals or something, is immoral and illegal, I think there's something to contribute.
Go Ted Lasso on it.
There you go.
Be Ted Lasso.
Exactly.
I could dive into it deeper, but I won't. There's lots of things. For example, I always want to make sure that we're not being flip, like you said in the last podcast. But, sometimes people aren't. I won't go into it. I won't. But I do just want to mention that sometimes, you're not in the financial situation or emotional state to be able to change things, leave the company that you don't like. And yeah, I do want to mention that. All right, moving on. All right, so the next question, the third and final question, is coming from Annette.
Hi Macari, hi Macari's dad. My name is Annette. I'm from Czech Republic and I'm going through a really tough breakup right now. So I'm trying to find happiness in everyday life again, but it's so hard. So my question is, how do you find inner strength to move on in difficult times or moments in your life? Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.
I find that it's a sad situation. I feel for her. I think we've probably all been there to a certain extent, and again, I never say I know how somebody feels, because I don't think you can ever know exactly how someone's feeling. But I guess in terms of back to Annette's question, how do you move on? It's not going to be easy. The road is rocky. Heartbreak hurts, and it's heartache is real. It's something that that's why so many songs have been written about it. It's sometimes debilitating and tricky to move on. And the hard line, or I don't know if it's a hard line, but you hear things like, well, there's lots of fish in the ocean, and there probably are, but there's a time where you can't think of any other fish. Then there's the one about, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. Well, how close to death do you have to be sometimes? Because it hurts. So I would never poo-poo how it hurts, and it hurts. As a parent watching children go through it, it also is hurtful. So you kind of have that sense. But all that being said, is if it doesn't kill you, it does make you stronger. And I would suggest that if you have good friends, and I'm sure you do, Annette, lean on them and talk to them and confide in them, and not use them, but I'm sure they'll be happy to be there for you, to ride this out. The sun keeps coming up, and I know this sounds like a real dad thing to say, but
that's the point of the show.
Yeah, but the sun keeps coming up, and it will gradually, like most wounds, will heal up, and the scab will peel off, and you'll be able to move on. The other thing, besides the kill you, make you stronger, you will learn something from it. You'll learn something about yourself. You'll learn maybe what to do or what not to do in a next situation, and you put it in your bank of life experiences that this life is all about. But no, there's the old Jaws movie that was out in the 70s, and there's a scene where Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss. They're in the ship in the bottom of the boat there, and they're talking about their scars. And one shows a big shark bite, and one shows a big knife wound or something. And then Richard Dreyfuss opens his shirt and says, "This is where, some girl's name broke my heart in 9th grade." And we all laugh at that, but the heartbreak starts. We've all experienced it to some degree, and in a way, it's an experience that going through is something to look back on and say, I learned from it.
Yeah. I guess I have nothing to say to that.
No, you're lucky. You're lucky. Yeah, you're young. That's good. It's a good thing.
Well, I have no. I have stuff to say to that. My heart's been broken, but they're all very recent. I'm 26.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
It's like, oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
I feel like yours, they all have dementia by now, so you can talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait till when I'm 65, 66, and I can talk about all my heartbreaks, but till now they're a little too fresh. They'll come calling. They'll be like, Mac, what did you say on your very popular podcast?
Yeah.
Very, very popular podcast that gets millions of views every day.
Oh my God.
All right. So that concludes our questions part, but it's now time for our pretty much final segment. What the heck is your problem?
What is my problem? What the heck is my problem?
Yeah. This is second episode, Dad. I already asked you this question. It shouldn't be a surprise to you.
Well, I guess you know what? I do have a problem. I have a problem that I think a lot of boomers, and I don't say that negatively, but I do have a problem in that I have too much stuff. And I feel like the kid with his hand in the cookie jar, and he's got so many cookies in his hand, he can't get his hand out to eat one of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the process of trying to decide, how do I simplify my life so I have time to eat one of my cookies? So, yeah, I guess that's a current problem.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do to fix it?
Well, I'm going to try and drop a couple of cookies. And
Yum.
So that I can take one out. But it's everything from reorganizing my garage to my closet to the crawl space. I mean, we downsized, but we still have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a generational issue. There's too many things on sale at Canadian Tire, and Amazon is all online now. So, the truck, we actually had the truck stop by to check on us because we didn't get a parcel one day. Your mom hates it when I say that.
Fair.
Anyway, yeah, it's time to start putting stuff on the Amazon truck as it's leaving.
Yeah.
That's the stage in my life. That's
Fair.
my problem.
Fair. Okay, Boomer. All right, Dad. Well, that's all we have time for. How do you think we did?
Oh, I don't know.
Episode 2. Do we think we're better than the first episode?
I don't know yet. I think that I may have babbled a bit.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I could edit
So no,
it out.
Fortunately, like I said before, you're a good editor. No, I just would never want people to think that what you call advice from Dad is scientific or research based. No. Most of it's straight from the gut, and it's just might change tomorrow.
Yeah, depends on our mood.
Depends on the mood I'm in.
Yeah, that's fair. Whatever. We'll give you the dad pass.
I just what I like is the fact that it's just another chance to have a conversation with you. Oh, isn't that sweet?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was so sweet.
I almost teared up.
Yeah, almost. Well, thanks, Dad. To close things off, I wanted to send the two of us and whoever's listening out there out into the world with a task. And this week's task is leaving a positive Google review for a small business that you love. Yeah, this is more a reminder for me to do it because it's so helpful to leave reviews on Amazon or Google for small businesses. We all know of one. We all know of a coffee shop, a local bookstore that could benefit from this. So even if it's just going and clicking that 5-star at the local bookstore review page, but ideally write a review. So that's the task. If you feel so inclined, please share a picture of you leaving the review, or just the review, or just the business, and post it on your Instagram and tag us at livelaughlarrypod. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. Your mom's really good at doing that. I'll get her right.
You're going to do it.
I'll get her right on it.
You're going to do it. Nice try. Anyway, if you enjoyed the second Live, Laugh, Larry podcast, please give us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment your favorite part. It will really help us get this podcast off the ground. And lastly, if you are in need of some dad advice, please send in your video recording or audio message to livelaughlarrypod@gmail.com.
Okay, can I just say, I said earlier that I have a lot of old friends. I hope they're not watching.
Hey!